Nerd On the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
That was to me one of the shows. Like, this is a big brain show.
This is a big brain show.
You need to.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, and where all levels of nerd are welcome. Today's topic of discussion is heralded from many anime websites as the greatest written anime series of all time.
Oh, damn.
The cautionary tale that explores what could happen if the power over people's lives was given to someone who wished to rid the world of crime and war. The cat and mouse chase of justice and power comes to a head with today's. I had to get it in there because it started with
You got
today.
it in there.
Marquee topic. Death Note.
Wait, save it for the get second round. Save it. Tom Cam. Hey, everyone who's watching at home, we got a Tom Cam today.
Yeah.
But
Caitlin's
before,
dealing with family shit. So.
Oh, God.
or she's celebrating her
It's her
birthday.
birthday.
You know?
No, it's just, that's what should we say?
That's Josh. That's Josh's term.
She's in the land of my birth, Hawaii.
Dealing with family.
Oh, my
dealing
grandma
with
was born there too.
Yeah.
Shout out, Granny.
What were we doing?
Before we get
Recording a
started.
podcast.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
before we get started, let's introduce the host. To my right is Corey.
And to my across is Tom.
That's Tom.
And I am Josh.
That was the most interesting way we've ever introduced the host on this show. I
hated
think.
I was going to take it away from you.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it's all good.
Just throw this episode away.
this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks, like you get bonus episodes that nobody else hears. Like last month, we talked about gatekeeping and its effects and what to do about it. This month, we're actually going to record it later this afternoon.
Who knows what it could be?
Yeah, who knows?
Not me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm so glad you pay attention.
I checked the calendars.
That's for you guys.
But also we do the Nerd On Minute, which we talk about something nerdy in a minute. It's a lot of fun.
For you.
Yeah.
Oh.
You also get early access to these episodes. You get access to secret channels on our public Discord server. So check that out, nerdon.tv/Discord. You also get to, support us. Help us be the best that we can be.
Yeah.
We're really close to a goal over there
Yeah.
of 60 members of the Nerd On Nation. Once we get there, the Nerd On Nation gets to pick a topic for one of our episodes. And it
You
can be
choose
anything.
and we have to do it. Hot
Yeah.
Rod. Coming at you.
Wow. That's-
Please be Hot Rod.
Don't
It's probably going to be demons.
Don't let that affect your decision because it can be a movie, it can be a season of a show, it can be a comic book, it can be anything.
Could it be Serbian film?
It can be
It's
any.
a really.
Duh, Hot Rod.
Here's the thing. It can be anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So
All right. Yeah. I'll stop, Rod.
So check it out, nerdon.tv/Patreon. And a huge shout out to our partners. We actually have a new one
Yeah.
to announce and talk
It's a
about.
big one.
So Apogee, friends of the show, love them. Odyssey headphones, we're using their LCD ones. We use their Mobius on our streams, but also a new one, Embody Audio.
Which is just
What?
plain fun to say, first
Yeah.
of all.
What is Embody Audio?
Embody Audio, they actually
yada,
just,
yada.
I know, it's really,
I was like, Tom did it earlier and it got me really good.
they make a program called Immerse Hive, and basically it's a spatial audio program that creates, oh man, it's so amazing. It creates surround sound in any kind of headphone, which to me as an audio engineer, I
Any
find,
headphone, like these ones.
yeah, these ones.
I can get the bad ones that tie themselves up in my pockets.
Yeah, you can.
Wow.
Wow.
No, not those. They need to be closed back, open back. They
Got
need to be
it.
the kind that cover your ear.
Yeah.
Because what's really interesting in the setup process, you actually have to take a picture of your ear,
Oh.
and then it maps it according to
Whoa.
your ear. But they actually just came out on June 3rd, the program.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. And in association or in partnership with Capcom, they're doing a huge giveaway, which we are a part of as well.
Yeah.
Holy
They're giving
crap.
away a $2,000 PC and also some game codes and also a code to the software itself. It's running until July 4th, but we've shared it on our social media. It's kind of the reason why we use branded links. But they do have a link on their social media, and we've shared it a few times. So do check it out. Sign up. Who knows what
What's
can
the
happen?
company again?
Embody Audio.
Embody Audio.
Embody Audio.
It's so good.
It's a good name.
I'm really trying hard not to do that every time.
We'll also have some fun content coming in the near future. Checking it out. I'm going to get these guys to hear it. It's pretty beautiful because I started playing with it. But so those are our partners. And if you like what you hear today, stop by, rate, review, share us with your friends, your family. That kind of stuff actually does help us grow. It helps outside ears and eyes see our content and check it out. So do that.
And
do the thing.
You give us a 5-star rating, we'll shut you on the show.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are, Will.
Yes, we are, Will.
Let's get this started. They've heard enough.
Yeah, this is the end of the housekeeping. Let us get on to this note of death.
The note of death.
Yeah.
But before we get into this, we have our first segment of the show, Tom. Very important. Yeah.
Now you always explain it.
You're freaking me out now. I'm like, I'm going to show Tom. I'm going to do it right because my history is that I try to help Tom with navigating the show.
Our first part is impressions, right?
Yeah, no. Before we get into our first impressions, we have a little something called Guess That Grump. God of the New World.
That's in the opening theme. It's in the opening theme.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass.
Guess That Grump is a segment in our show, which Tom's about to explain because I'll explain the next part after it. And you don't want to hear me talking for 5 minutes straight, or do you?
Where we're going to go around the table and guess who's going to have...
You still want to say digital
I do want to say digital screens. Where we're going to go around the table and guess who's going to have the lowest score from 1 out of 5. Now, no matter how high the number is, the lowest one in the group will be the Grump for the week. And if you're familiar with the show, we did make an amendment where we have written down our numbers in these notepads or our tablets.
Or our death notes.
So it won't get swayed by the audience voting.
Yes.
But since I always explain and Corey sometimes improvises,
I'll go first.
Yeah, all right.
I knew it was happening.
Rule of threes.
I think that this is actually going to be a hard one. She did say that. I will say...
It's okay.
Corey.
Yeah.
You really just get more of an ultimatum when it's just 3 of us.
It is.
It's like, well, it can't be that person. He suggested it.
Do I choose mommy or daddy?
I'm going to say Josh.
Okay.
I
too am going to say Josh.
Yeah,
I'm also going with Josh on this one. For reasons. You're so sweet. And the show is, I would not describe sweet as one of the descriptor adjectives.
Sweet.
But since we've all voted now so quickly, I feel like that was way too quick for some reason. I'm going to bring us to our next part of the show. Which is, hey, are you sitting at home being like, why the F didn't anyone vote for Tom? He should be the Grump. He's got a critical eye. Well, guess what? You could have.
Guess what? I picked it.
Yeah. First of all, you're wrong. But second of all, you could have voted. You could have done it. If you were part of the Nerd On Nation, you could take part in the Guess That Grump goal. Guesser, Greater, Grumper, Death Note, Jealous,
Geneva,
Power Hungry.
Yeah. God of the New World Order, Guesser, Grumper. And if you guess what? If you get it right, if by the end of the show, guess what? If you voted for Tom and he was the Grump, guess what? We shout you out on the show.
We do.
No, everyone likes hearing their own name. At least I do. So the Nerd On Nation has spoken, and I gotta say, not happy with y'all. No, I'm just kidding. It's Josh. They voted for Josh, which is what I assumed. We had a lot of people. I think we had 10 participants in this this Guess That Grump poll, so we're on the rise. Okay. Thank you guys for participating. Appreciate it. Stick around to the end to see if you got it right. But that concludes that.
Other patrons take part. Have some fun with this. It's pretty enjoyable. So now we'll move on to the next part where we're going to
spoil.
Yeah, give our complete spoilers of these numbers with our initial reactions and our first impressions. Go ahead, Carter.
I would like to go first because this is one of those shows. Shout out to Nate, Avatar Tyke. When we were younger, and I mean younger, like in high school, he was about this show when it came out. He got me into a few of my favorite animes like Bakano and stuff like that. And this is one of those things where I was talking to Tom before the show in our physical green room about how it's one of those shows that I knew I would like. And so I knew I wanted to approach it with the amount of respect that I thought it deserved. And so I always found excuses to be like, no, I'm too tired this week. No, I got to watch this thing. No, I want to be in the right headspace for this because I want to absorb it. And so finally we did the episode and I was like, well, I guess this is the time to do it. And I remember Tom being like, "Are you watching it? Are you watching it?" And I was like, "No, I'll get there. I'll get there." And
Because Josh already had finished it.
Yeah. So I dove head first, and I'll tell you what. I think I liked the first episode, but boy, by the end of the second episode, was I hooked. I was in 100% in. I'm someone who can go either way with rules of magic. Like I can go with the super soft magic system
or hard,
but I don't like the in between. So this went super hard magic system for me, at least. There's a lot of rules, a lot of caveats, a lot of like testing the theories, especially in the early episodes, which I really loved. That kind of stuff is like figuring out
methodically,
like telling the audience like this works, this doesn't work, da 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 da. And I'm always fascinated by a character who I can kind of hate, but also be like, but I get it. So I liked the show.
I'm
gonna go next.
Show. All right,
go ahead, Josh. I hate the show.
You chose wrong. No, I'm just kidding. No, so I had the only time that I had seen an episode of this show. I think Tom knows. So Bonnie went out of town a couple of years ago, and Tom was like, he was gonna come over, and we were just gonna hang out. And
was this when we were doing like our anime day stuff, and we were kind of
a little bit. It was just like bros hanging out. I happened to have some ganja.
Okay,
and this is not the type of show to watch while under the influence of something. We watched 2 episodes, and I just remember like sitting on the couch going, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah, it's a lot to like take in.
It reminds me of when I drank 4 Locos and watched Antichrist.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh my God, I'm seeing a sex scene at 240,000 frames per second.
It's there's a lot of moments in this show that when I was in high school, I was like on a high dose of Ritalin for my ADHD, and I remember there's parts in this show where the internal monologues felt like the same way I did when I was finally like on my medication doing homework. And I was like, and then I could I was like, holy shit. And then I could eat a potato chip.
And then so I obviously I restarted it, and
yeah,
I was hooked.
Yeah.
Like I've said in previous episodes, I tend to use our series episodes. I will watch a series while I do the
Elliptical.
the elliptical, and
the workouts.
It was easy for me to just keep watching. Even when I was done with the elliptical, I'd sit down on the couch and just keep watching. Yeah, there's a lot going on with this cat and mouse. Just everything.
Now, I don't want to ruin expectations here, but the only other time you've said that with an anime show was My Hero. Okay, just want to throw it for the audience. I want to throw that out there.
I don't want to ruin expectations.
But the last time he said it was his favorite anime of all time.
No, I really dug this. I had a really good time. It was an easy watch. That's why it was finished 2 months ago.
Yeah, easy is a light term here. It's not necessarily an easy thing to watch, but it is easy to absorb yourself in it.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it wrong. If someone's like, "Oh, it's an easy watch," and then turns around like, "What the fuck is this?"
It depends.
Sure, it depends.
It depends.
Like, I'd say My Hero is an easier. Like my wife actually liked. Hero. Actually, you know what? Dana
it was easy to ingest the media.
Okay.
It was easy to like. You didn't have to talk yourself into watching it.
Right. Actually, I caught Dana. I was watching some of it last night, and Dana was like, doesn't do this with anime often. She's not a big anime fan. I've tried to get her to watch Kenshin before, just not happening. But this, she was like very intrigued with the idea of light and
no spoilers, no spoilers.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Just the idea of light and L and all that kind of stuff. So she was asked, she's like, so who's and what's his? And I was like,
well, because the thing they're really well defined. I'll go next.
Yeah.
Yes, you will.
So I watched this probably the same time as your boy Nate watched it when it was airing on Adult Swim. And for those who haven't watched it yet and have been thinking about it, it's always been in the back of their head, of like, oh, what is it? It is really, really short. It's 37 episodes, so that's a spoiler. But it's really easy. It's like compared to all other animes that have premiered on Adult Swim. Like Cowboy Bebop is like 24 episodes, so just think of it like that. It's something you could really go into. And I think it's really easy because the amount of people who love Last Podcast on the Left, My Favorite Murder, all these crime documentaries, I'm like, y'all, and I mean, shout out, much love, only love.
Yeah.
Y'all are depraved, crazy people. And you guys love this dark stuff. And and that's why I would say if the only hard thing is like you don't want to see kind of like the inner workings of like a detective show, it's to me it almost scratches the same itch of Dexter, except
Yeah, I can see that.
Except your levels of morality shift by characters, and Death Note questions more of your own ideas of justice. But no, so I watched it back in the day, and I remember just being hyped by all my other friends who were much more into anime than I was, and if you can believe that. And they were saying like this is the greatest show of all time. And so I remember watching and be like, oh, this is kind of cool, but there's no giant swords, and I wanted to
Not interested. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, I was into that stuff. I was into the Fighty Boys. And then I've watched this series several times now, and I've watched the first anime or the first live action Japanese film. I watched half of the Netflix one because I was like, let me just see where they went.
So I'm curious because I do want to watch the Japanese. Would you recommend the live action one? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because they get the actual voice actors to play
very
the
cool.
Shinigamis.
Okay.
So you're like, oh, it sounds the same, but it's in Japanese.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I absolutely love this show. I think everyone should watch it because I think it doesn't push you to believe a certain thing. It more questions what your thoughts are in a Socratic way where it never defines anything. And I've been trying to get the boy, Steve's on it, and he finally watched like 4 episodes. I'm like, just get through it.
My dude.
Can you text him after this, please?
I'll text him. Just, I'll text him on camera. Here we
I've
go.
been trying to just make sure he can finish it. And I'm just like, anyways.
This is on camera for posterity's sake.
I love the show, and I could recommend it to people who are okay. Cool, I got through one anime, whatever it may be. Try this one, and this I think actually utilizes the anime medium so efficiently because there's a lot of inner monologue, and that's something that's unique to anime. And it uses it in a way where it doesn't feel like it's a lazy writing. It's because you have to have these characters think about things without them, telling their plans.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my initial reaction. We'll move on to the next 2 segments of the show. Good. And we'll do our brief synopsis and our production.
I've got the brief synopsis today. The guy who says breathe will read. A series primarily revolving around high school student Light, who decides to rid the world of evil with the help of a supernatural notebook called a Death Note.
That's it.
That's the brief synopsis.
There it is,
and scene.
And the production will be by me. First off, I want to make a disclaimer. I am sorry if I mispronounce any of the names in here.
We try our hardest.
And I do write these notes, so it's not like I didn't mentally try it in my head.
Yeah.
So the production...
He told me about a whole process he had of trying to pronounce it correctly.
The production studio is Madhouse, who's worked on such anime such as Hunter x Hunter, the 2011 version, Trigun, and Perfect Blue. Oh, well, I can't wait till we get to Perfect Blue. The showrunners. So I'm going to do the directors and then the producer. So the director is Tetsuro Araki, who later on went on to do Attack on Titan, and then Guilty Crown and High School of the Dead. The producers, I don't have what their works are, but because there's 4 of them, Toshiro Nakatani, Manabu Tamura, and Masayo Murayama. And the writers is Toshiki Inoue, who wrote such things as The Fist of the North Star, Dragon Ball Z, and Yu-Gi-Oh! The cast. So Light Yagami is played by the Japanese Mamoru Miyano from Wolf's Rain and Kingdom Hearts, and then Brad Sawile from X-Men Evolution as Kurt Wagner and Gundam Seed. Ryuk is played by Shiro Nakamura from Fearless, the live-action film with Jet Li, and the Death Note film as Ryuk in that film. And Brian Drummond plays Ryuk in Dragon Ball Z and The Last Kids on Earth.
I knew I recognized that voice.
And L is played by Kappei Yamaguchi from Inuyasha and One Piece, and Alessandro Giuliani from Battlestar Galactica.
Hell yeah.
And Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. The release date for the anime series, not the manga, but the series is from October 3rd, my birthday, 2006 to June 26, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 37 episodes. It's technically 2 seasons or 2 arcs, if you're familiar with that convention. The runtime estimated per episode is 24 minutes. The first few episodes are early.
What's 1 and 2? Like what?
Probably the L arc and then the post L.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
When you could tell what the openings change.
Yeah. It's just interesting because L, that's episode 25.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's only 12 episodes left. Mm-hmm. So interesting.
for example, a little sidebar, like Hunter x Hunter has like multiple seasons or arcs, and they define them by arcs. One arc is 67 episodes, and another arc is like 19 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's just more based on what
All right.
the story is. The budget is not listed, but the Rotten Tomato score. This is a funny thing with anime that always happens. They never list how many users. But 100% from critics and 96% from audience.
All right.
People like that. So that is all of the spoiler-free stuff. We're going to get into the spoiler-full stuff where we talk about our favorite character or favorite parts, favorite characters, our qualms, and then finally our rating. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first. I'm going to start little. I'm going to start with little moments I liked first, and we'll work our way to the bigger stuff.
If you haven't watched it already, go watch it. It's really easy.
So for me, it's all about the apples and the handstands. Was one of my favorite little things. That he just can't, like, he starts twisting up. Ryuk starts twisting up when he can't have the apples, and then is just doing handstands. And I looked and I was like, what's the symbology behind the apples? And it turns out the creator just liked it. He thought it looked good in his hand, and he was like, "I was told that there's."
It's a stark contrast because it's very
Red.
It's very
Yeah,
red
he liked
against
the color.
a lot of grays
Yeah.
and stuff.
He liked
like
the
that.
color, and he's like, a lot of storytellers were like, "Oh, well, I thought that since apples mean this, that." And he's like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah.
No, I just liked that he loved apples, and that was the
Well,
reason he hung around light.
It kind of really goes into Ryuk's nature too.
Yeah.
Because he only comes into the human world because of boredom.
Yeah.
Because also their apples taste like sand.
I saw a comment online that was like, "I'd like to remind everybody that this whole story starts because Ryuk was bored."
Yes, he was bored,
But,
he
like,
was bored. And he thought it'd be interesting,
And that's the thing where they're thousands of years old, and the drama that we face in 30, 40 years of our lives is
a blip.
literally nothing to them.
So to me, maybe I missed it earlier on, but when they're talking about the cameras, and he was like, "Me eating an apple would look like it's floating in midair." I was like, I didn't even think about that. That's like, whoa, okay. So I love the the hard magic rules apply here, and then you see him in the park feeding the apple. He's like, "Eat the core as well," and the core just disappears, and then Ryuk. I loved that little game. I really did. When they're in the jail cell, and he's like twisting up because he hasn't had the apples in like 3 days.
I'll go next.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments of the whole show is just the potato chips. It's just my favorite move is this when he goes, "Ugh," and he's just writing and writing and writing.
I mean, it's become a meme.
It's become a meme.
No,
yeah.
I found that out after the fact, but I was just like,
As you
I
can see
remember
why.
stopping on the elliptical going,
That whole scene is genius.
Well, it's to me, I think it's almost like the best scene that encapsulates what the show is about, and like
how far he's willing to
how benign eating a potato chip is, but how dramatic they shoot it, or they draw, like the camera ramps in, but he's having this monologue. He's like, he doesn't know, like all the plan and preparation, like there's a little TV in the paper in the bag, and like that it's all under the pressure. It's Hitchcockian, right? Of like how much tension there is, like there's a bomb underneath the table where it's
and they keep cutting to the police cam, which is so boring.
Yes.
And then, but to him, it's it's like this orchestra. It's this like he's conducting a full orchestra in his head.
yeah.
And obviously the music
That's how like he
accentuates that. But
he has an inflated ego in a sense where he just thinks that he is just in control of every piece of this.
So I think there's a lot to discuss with that between Light Yagami and then the persona of Kira.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is, I think that what they do
when he's
not.
It's like talking about Bruce Wayne and Batman.
And I think that's really interesting because for all intents and purposes, Light was also kind of bored of this kind of toxic world. And he, he automatically thinks he is chosen to use this book, but he just happens to be probably the most capable person of using the book.
Yeah.
But when he forfeits the ownership of the book and loses all his memories, you really see who he actually is.
Yeah.
And he has a good sense of what justice is, but it is a little different.
It's corrupted.
It's a little different than what Els is. But I think
It's what's that saying? The power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
And yeah, I think that's definitely true. And yeah, it's
But it's a good way, you know what, as a story device though, because at that point, before we see who, Light really was before the Death Note, for me, it was almost at a point where I'm like, I don't know if I can like this dude anymore. And then they do this thing where you're like, oh, but he's deep down, he's really good.
But I think also when he gets the book back is terrifying.
Yes. Oh,
like his face
100%.
is like completely
when
frozen.
all the memories come back.
Well, they do his eyes all white.
Eyes are
and he's
open,
like,
and then they just like revolve around him. Like,
Yeah.
and that's a cool thing I really enjoyed.
I've won.
Yeah, I really enjoyed about the show is that like they make it very cinematic when it doesn't need to, and like
it's a very cinematic show.
In anime, there's a lot of Dutch angles and all that stuff, but like just like the fast movements, and it just feels so like ravenous. Like so, a big spoiler at the very end with Mikami, who's Kira X, writes down all the people he sees in the warehouse. Like you follow a rat who's running past him, and then like his eyes, and he's just saying delete, 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 and it's just like so intense, and everyone's freaking out.
Also, that moment when I think it's L and Light, and they're sitting in a helicopter after that like high speed chase.
Isn't that when he gets the book back?
It's about to, yeah.
Yeah, it's about to.
Yeah.
But he's got that little note in his watch, and he's trying to write down the guy that they've caught, his name. But the dramatic, all the drama that's being built in that, and the tension, and the music is going, and you're like,
well, it's like, how can he write a name next to someone who's like watching his every move? Like, I loved when L, aka Ryuga, shows up at the school, and then he's like, I'm L. He just looks at him, and then But also, you probably noticed what the creator talked about, or the director talked about, like
the colors.
The colors. He really wanted
the red and blue,
and blue. And it's just like they continually to go off that, like
I literally wrote as my top part in quotes, I'm L, because I just thought that bit of chess that they're both playing in that moment is. And it goes, it's exaggerated on the tennis court later.
Oh.
But in that scene, it's just this like, man, they're both thinking 6 moves ahead, 7 moves ahead.
And they're both looking at like, oh, well, this person wants to win. If I lose, it shows that their message, their fight is stronger than mine.
But he goes home after Elle introduces himself, and he's like, he's won, which just means I have to strike. And you're like, oh shit, here we go. And it's the first time Ryu comments on never having seen Light that angry before. Is when after L introduces himself, because it's like the most intense chess game you've ever played.
And I love anytime there's like Ryuk is kind of commenting on the scenario kind of to himself.
Oh, he's
like
so indifferent. I was saying this last week in the studio, but probably one of my favorite character designs in a long time.
Oh,
Ryuk.
Oh yeah.
Like
I want that Funko Pop so bad.
He's pretty much the character. Like, I don't know Death Note, the story, but I know Ryuk.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's like
he's iconic.
Yeah, that's an iconic character
I think
that you would
need another
see.
one with Willem Dafoe, and just write it, Tom.
But I think I really liked the first episode. Or I think it's the first or second episode where like Ryuk says to Light, because Light's like, I'm going to create a new world. It's like where criminals fear somebody, blah, blah. And it's like, and I'm going to take down the intense criminals, and then let all the weaker ones kind of die off.
I think that's first.
Okay. And then Ryuk says, if all the bad people are dead, that only leaves one person.
But his ego doesn't, he's like, no, I'm not bad though.
Well, and that's the thing where like Light has this ideal world in his mind, and that's kind of like the red flag of like, oh, this is someone who should not have this amount of power. Where L, if you think about it, right, you start like looking at it in a vacuum, like, why hasn't L acted so this intensely towards any other murder, right? And L's like justice is kind of like an answer to Kira.
Yeah.
Like without Kira, there is no L. And that's like kind of the cool like way that the show unfolds, is that like L is the answer to Kira, but also I just love that how Nier takes over.
Yeah.
Like and to me, I will say
same like posture too.
I will say I think the L arc is stronger than the Nier arc, but I think Nier, and that's like the sad thing about the show and what it kind of says is that L actually does believe in justice. Actually, L thinks he is justice, just as Kira thinks.
Well, because they have that same line at the same time. I am justice.
But like Nier is much more like, I just want to beat you.
Yeah.
Like all I want to do is surpass the guy who couldn't beat you. And it kind of shows that like maybe justice isn't really a thing.
Yeah. Well, like the thing about L, the original, obviously, because Light takes it over. But that I went online and I was like, okay, well, and I wanted to hear what people thought. Like, who do you really think is smarter or more intelligent? And a lot of people said that Nier is smarter, but L is more intelligent because he possesses more creativity and more
imagination
than Nier does. So
he's willing to test out the book.
Right. Yeah. So I agree with you on that point though. I have another part real quick if you don't mind.
Sure.
I want to discuss with you guys. It's kind of a full episode actually, and I'm going to say it this way. Remember the death of Ray Pember, because
man,
why couldn't I?
We are sometimes the same.
Were you about to say that?
Well, I mean, it wasn't him per se. It was the death of his wife, and it's
Death
the
of his
lead
wife.
up. Yeah.
So the thing about the whole episode where Ray dies, the 5th episode, and I did I did more research on this episode because I was like, this stuck with me more than the rest of the series, even
because it's Kira's.
It's the turn.
It's no coming back.
It's the turn.
You kill someone that
You have
literally
these
is not a
good
bad
people.
guy.
Yeah. And it's the first time I felt like I didn't agree with Light.
But the way he did it, though.
Yeah, it's cool as hell.
Doesn't make it okay.
But I remember it was the first time that I was like the rest of it, I was like, I get your goal. You want to kill criminals. You want to rid the world of bad things. But this was like,
it's like a necessary evil.
But you got to protect yourself. He's such a good dude.
And Light mentions that later on. It's like Kira believes that he is justice. So if anyone goes against him, that's injustice.
Right.
And so it's that weird sliding scale of what justice really means. And like he ends up saying
he knows what's right.
He ends up saying it later when he's working with Elle. He's like, Kira believes that he's a martyr. And if he wins, then that's technically the new justice. But if he loses, then that's justice.
Yeah.
So it's like this idea, like whoever writes the history is the justice. So Ray Pember is, it's a tragedy.
So I mean, like that's
and his wife too was so
it's just
sad.
but it was just such
walks.
Because I remember stopping after that scene because you see that he's
with his wife,
okay. And I remember that Light's talking and he's leading her on and he's trying to get her name and then he realizes it's almost like a countdown where he's like 5 and she doesn't die and he realizes, but then eventually he's able to kill her and it's just they have her walk into
towards
light and that and it was just like I remember having to stop and go, oh
yeah.
Because she was so
the feels.
I just like
she's
so
she just
nice
wanted to help find her husband's killer.
But she was smart too.
She was super smart,
and she worked with Elle, so like she knew to like I'm not gonna give you my real name.
Yeah,
like okay.
But he's brilliant. That act of Light.
How Elle figured out where Light was, where he made the broadcast system to the world, and had the prisoner who's like I'm Elle and the detective. What you're doing is wrong, and then.
He's like,
Light kills him.
So you're in Japan.
And then he's like, so you're in Japan because this wasn't a world broadcast. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So
that was
to me one of the shows like, this is a big brain show.
This is a big brain show.
You need to.
This is a big brain show. That tennis match was the moment for me.
Put on your thing, Cap.
This is a big brain show. This is a, oh my God, here we go.
I mean, we're not in a character zone, but I do want to talk about Elle because I love the juxtaposition of what he was. Because a lot of my favorite moments were when he was, quote, out of character. Like when he screes when he meets Misa Misa, and he steals her phone and the way that he's acting.
Grabs her butt.
I love how he holds phones.
Yeah.
That was one of my
how
favorite
he sits
things.
on tables.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of Brad Pitt-esque of like eating, like always eating.
Always eating.
And I just love that he's just like
and the shit he says, like sometimes like when he's like hair, crumb, hair. If I die in the next few days, it means that Light is Kira. I was like, what the fuck?
And man, it's
still only a 5% chance.
And we're all talking about the English dub, and the performances on that are so good.
They are.
And if you love the sub, then again, the writing is in there. So
I will say something that doesn't bother me, but what a barrier for my wife into anime is those moments where someone like is having a yelling moment and everything is all together at once and they don't have that in this show at all. Like you said, it's a little more grounded, a little more cinematic, and I think the performances showed that.
Like the most out yelling.
And I understand why they do those moments because it's a budget and timing thing.
Yeah, the most yelly quick time moment is probably with Light's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, Elle told me to kill Kira if it happens, and he like shoots at his son.
But even then, it's still not. Yeah,
it's just a very intense moment. But like that's like
him getting the eyes.
The eyes are wonderful. Like, but also I was like,
remember how mad he was getting at the fake Kira being like, you don't have the eyes. He's like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Holy shit. You show me your Shinigami, I'll show you mine.
It was Misa.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying in that moment how angry Light was.
And so I mean
And then finding and Light and L hearing about Shinigami and
he freaks out. Yeah, he freaks out, and I was like, yeah, that's what Josh.
I love that, like any scene that there was a reveal of a Shinigami, like everybody just like, do you see that? And like when like
the bus scene for the first one for me when he had him touch the little paper.
Just because we were kind of talking about the dad, I just that like the staging,
Soichiro?
Soichiro.
The staging of the execution. And like the drama of that, and then you hear the gunshot and it fades to black, and then you come back in the next episode and you find out what's going on. But it's just like I love the dad is just he's got this. Speaking of the voice acting, but he's just got this like voice here. Like,
yeah,
fuck yeah.
The heartbreaking thing was looking at Light and being like, "You're not Kira. I can rest easy," and you're like,
he died happy though.
Yeah,
but I mean, at the end,
there was a question. Yeah.
But at the end with Matsuda, where he's just like, what was all for then? Why did your dad die?
Yeah.
And then
he's a sociopath, man. Light's a total like I mean, yes and no, right? Because so through the whole series, I thought he was this emotionalist sociopath. But then in his last moments, he's calling for like Misa and like
well, to me and
it just shows like everyone wants that.
He's human and he wants to feel like a sense of any type of like comfort at the very end. But like the way that he kind of quote unquote, and I say this in the least human way, disposes of Takeda, and burns down the entire church. I'm like, this is someone who will kill you.
Psychopath.
For any reason if you get in his way. And like I love what Aizawa says. Like
it's very Machiavellian.
Yeah, he's like, well, it doesn't matter. We're all useless to Light now. I'm like,
yeah.
So true.
Go.
I was just the final scene when Light just goes insane, and I love that the way that they portray him in the animation. Just like you look in his eye, the shadow, just his facial expressions. He almost turns into a Shinigami himself, where he's got these like.
Ryuk says that in the early episodes. He's like, "You'd be a really great Shinigami." But I like. The thing about the ending scene for me was the total, and it solidified Ryuk as a great character for me, is the fact that in the end, like he was like, "All right, I'm done. I'm bored with this now."
You're gonna go to prison. How long will it take for you to die? Who knows? I'm not gonna wait around for that.
Yeah, and he writes Light's name in there, and you're like, "Oh yeah." Like he drops hints throughout the show that he doesn't care.
It kind of ends very poetically that way.
Yeah,
I feel like because it all starts with Ryuk and it ends with Ryuk.
Yeah, and it's just him being like, I'm bored with this now. And da-da-da-da. To him, it was always going to be, like you said, this blip on his lifespan, right? Because they live basically forever.
They take all the years that they kill.
So to come back in the end and just hear him talk, it was kind of Schadenfreude-esque to hear Ryuk speak of Light in such a nonchalant way, because Light has spoke of everyone in such a nonchalant way the entire time that it was
because at the end of the day, Ryuk is just a blip. Well, he's just like a. I'm sorry, Light.
Yeah,
Light is just a blip in the timeline that is life.
Yeah,
and Ryuk's like,
story's
I'll
over.
get a new.
Well,
Light.
I mean, even then, there's some times where, like, I think to Corey's point, where Ryuk is just like, "Oh, Light, you're so evil," and like Rem's like, "Light, yeah."
Okay, listen, can we talk about Jealous and Rem for a second? Because the story of Jealous
is Jealous.
Loved it. The first one.
Okay, the sad one.
The sad one.
Not the one with the weird side face.
It's the one with the stitches. Like, it's how it's how Misa gets the notebook. And Rem was there for it. And the guy who came out with a knife and stuff, and he like kills himself. And then to have it come full circle where Rem like I thought that was really cool. And it set this idea up for me when on my watch through that I was like, maybe Ryuk will care about Light in the end. And so when it didn't, I was like, oh, good. Thank you. I'm really glad he didn't.
Well, like, and that's the thing with
because it made those moments more special. And it poetically tied everything.
It didn't make Shinigami so like it made it exactly. It made Shinigami very specific. Like, wow, falling in love with the human is a
huge deal. Yeah. Also, how much shit the other Shinigami talk about Ryuk.
Yeah. But like, and that's the thing where Ryuk
went to the human world. Why
is like a little scoundrel. Like he tricked the Shinigami king to get another book. And it's like, oh shit. But like, there's a lot. Go on, Josh.
I was just gonna say part of the show when there's reveals kind of reminds me. There was in the last season of Rick and Morty, there's like a parody of like well, I knew you do this, so I did this.
Mhm.
I knew
Oh,
you did this, and it goes
yeah.
on for like hours. There's like some times where
Yeah,
it's
at the
just
very
kind
end,
of-
where like he's like, I replaced the book that Mikami was
and it
using.
becomes this like line of like, well,
And then
I
Nier's
did
like,
this
well, I
and-
knew you would replace the book, so we replaced both books. And then it's like, oh, shit.
Oh
Shit,
shit,
dude.
dude.
And I mean, that's the entire, oh, shit. Like, the entire time, you're just like, oh, my God. Like, and yeah, every time Light's just like, oh, you fell into my plans, El. It's like, But also, Watari, like, old dude who took care of El.
Oh
who-
yeah.
who's like bankrolling all these
Can I be honest with you?
geniuses
That
across the
hurt
country.
just as much as L.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
Well, it's like, delete
Chill little white
everything.
guy,
Yeah.
but he's not, he's got a beard.
to me, it with the chill guy was the
Oh,
dad.
chill old guy.
was the dad, man.
Everyone with mustache.
I mean, I'm complete with my.
Yeah,
favorite
I could go
parts.
on
We
and
can go
on
on
and
and
on for this. I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't really talk about Nier and Mello that much, but
I do like that both of them combined are better than L.
yes.
But like, yeah, because there's for people who are listening who are interested, there is a one-shot manga of like years later where a new kid gets the Death Note, and he's like, you know how like, so Light is like the genius high schooler.
Mhm.
This is a genius middle schooler, and he has to go against Nier, and Nier's like, I don't care about the world, nothing matters. The greatest case of the world was
it's already solved.
Kira.
Yeah.
And so, but then once this new case lives, then Nier has to go after this person. And it's
Yeah.
like, who wins?
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
But we can go on and on and on and on about
So
great parts of
we'll
the
go
show.
favorite characters.
We
We'll
decided to do three.
three.
Is that right?
Because there's a lot of characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
Yeah,
I'll
go
go
first.
first. I'll say, first favorite character. Gotta like Light.
Gotta like Light.
I gotta like
Ooh.
Light. He's so evil.
Wow.
So evil.
He is.
So
I feel
evil.
like I was telling you, I was like, she's like, so what's his deal? I was like, he's kind of like the protagonist and the antagonist all in one.
Well, he's
It's
the
very
protagonist.
bizarre.
We're watching him, but
No,
he's a
I know.
bad guy.
Yeah. I was like, it's kind of bizarre at the
Yeah.
same time.
It's like Cruella,
sure. Yeah, this is just like Cruella.
you know, because a criminal pushed
I wouldn't say that.
yeah,
No.
criminal pushed his dad off a cliff or something. Anyway.
Anyway,
So a second character, I'd say Matsuda.
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
Matsuda offers this question because at every turn there's like, well, you have to kind of think because Kira, we're down 70% of crime. He's like, I'm not saying I approve, but like there's all these things like, hey, Nier, what you're doing is bad because all of our faces are exposed, but you're the only one wearing a mask.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna piggyback on that because he is one of mine as well.
wow.
he
He's. I mean, that's the same guy, right? Who when there's a scene where
He's on the ledge with the
no. I'm just trying to remember if it was him earlier. There's a scene where Light is talking to Elle and the whole squad, and he's like, well, I just think that some criminals deserve to die, and I don't know if that's good. And he's
Mhm.
like, I feel that way too.
Yeah.
You're not alone in that. That is him, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So
but he also ends up.
So just a little moment.
He's like semi-comedy relief, but also at the end he ends up being able to be the hero in a sense, a part of kind of a hero because he shoots light.
Part of the
Well,
solution.
the thing is, he is to me in the story, he's the only one that should, because he's almost like the audience surrogate, but also like society's surrogate. Because even Light says like the world is too afraid to say they support me, but online they do.
right.
And Matsuda is the only one that kind of actually plays devil advocate of like, what is justice? Like, what is the right thing to do? And he never says like, I'm
Where Light never questions.
never questions it. They're always the right. And same thing with L. It's like, I am justice.
Yeah.
And same thing with Nier. It's like, no, you're just evil and I'm going to get you. You're nothing more or
You're no
nothing
better,
less
yeah.
than a serial killer. And then I think the third character is probably
Hell. Okay.
Yeah.
dig
So it's to me
That's a surprising list, to be honest with you.
it's to me it's the trifecta of like good, right, idealism, and humanity in a bundle. I feel like you can't have the show actually without these three.
Sure.
Because if you just have L and Kira going at it,
Yeah.
it's just two-sided war. But then you as the audience, you're kind of Rorschached with Matsuda.
Sure.
And you're like,
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't think about it that way.
So
Now you said he was one of yours as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
Matsuda is one of mine. My other two are Ryuk.
Mhm.
I love Ryuk.
Yep.
I love his design. I love his observations. I love that he does provide lightness
Mhm.
here and there. even
The
though
the
he's
darkest
like-
character is probably
Yeah. There it is.
The handstands and the
yeah.
apples. Yeah.
And L.
Yeah.
I just I just dig how focused and smart and weird.
Yeah.
Eccentric. Yeah.
Never
Eccentric.
sleeps, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time everyone's waking up, he's already up. I noticed that.
Every time he does like a fruit salad, he takes out all the fruit. Just
There's
eats
a
all the
part of me
candy.
that wishes I had the ability to just like say things without the idea of like he just will say things without taking into consideration how it might make somebody feel. Like he's just stating the facts.
Yes and no, because also it's extremely calculated. You find out sometimes. Like he was like, yeah, I'd say 1% chance, and then Light's like, fuck, the fact that he said 1% chance just is terrible. It's worse. It's worse than him actually, because then if he's right, he said it all along, and if he's wrong, then and he goes even with the 1% chance, now he can't introduce me to the Force. Brilliant stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For me, L all day. Like Tom said that to me, I think a long time ago. He's like, I think you're gonna like L. I was like, okay.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
I feel bad. A pasty white guy who's smarter than everyone in the room, who's so fucking smart and
weird
and eccentric, but a good guy.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, would not actually hurt anybody.
Yeah. So that was my number one. I thought that was a great character and a great foil. I loved that first moment when he introduced himself as L and they go into the inner monologues and his hair turned blue. I was like, oh, I love this. The little things. And then Ryuk was my number two. Just I really enjoyed. And then who's my number three, Tom?
The dad.
Yep.
I was gonna be like, Dad, dude.
Soichiro, for a lot of reasons, but the reason that made me be like, this guy right here is when he drove the van into the TV station.
Yeah.
That was the like, and he's like got out of the hospital.
That was a Commissioner Gordon move.
It was a Commissioner Gordon move. Got out of the hospital, snuck out of the hospital, got a van, got in there, and then like apologized. He's like, I'm so sorry, I defied your logic, but I had to do something.
Then at one point, rushes into that building like armored up and like taking shots and like
hella shot.
He's what Light could have been if he didn't.
And I think that's the cool thing, that if the Death Note had not fallen to Light's lap, he would have just become just like his father. If not, maybe even like L.
Yeah. So those are my three. Loved Light. Don't get me wrong, but those are my.
I'm just and that's the thing. I think people know this. I've been saying it. I'm just a little more evil than most people.
Yeah.
And that's
Can
why
confirm.
I plead the fifth. I'm not allowed to incriminate myself, but maybe if there's a Death Note, don't bring it around.
Yeah.
Just,
don't do it.
I shouldn't have it. I should not have it.
This moves us to our next section of the show, which is qualms. Qualms. Tom, do you have any?
I do.
Okay.
Would
you like me to go first, or you?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure you had some. I thought there may be a chance. For me, they're little things. So for me, at times,
are they two?
They are two. At times, too much chess.
Too much mental chess.
Too much like as
he
the
figured me
tennis
out.
scene was wonderful, but there were times where I was like, the fuck? What is happening? And I love it. I love it all. Don't get me wrong. But at times there were just a couple of scenes throughout the series where I was like, this is too much.
Especially it's
almost exposition.
It happens almost too much when they're handcuffed together.
Yes.
And it's like, if I do this, then he's going to do that. If I do that, then he does that. Then I'm going to have to do this.
Yeah.
It's like, if you just don't do it at all.
The thing that made the tennis scene really wonderful and flow was the cuts between them finishing the sentences and stuff like that. And I feel like there was less of that.
Very Guy Ritchie almost.
Yes. So that was my number one. It's just at times, too much chess. My other one was the I want to word this carefully because I don't want it to sound like I didn't still like the show. After the L arc, I had trouble caring as much. And not to say I didn't care, but like it wasn't that same level of like, oh shit. And that's it. Those are my two qualms.
Josh?
Yeah.
Like I felt hurt when L left. I was like, oh.
I want to say this with a grain. There's a part of me that wants to say take this with a grain of salt, but there's another part of me that says don't. Because it was a different time in entertainment specifically, but the handling of Misa Misa was very, very. There were times where I almost turned it off because it's very. There are times where she is almost made.
She's a fanatic.
She's a fanatic, but it's
who
just the
doesn't care
way
about
that they're.
Herself.
That and just the way that they're treating her as a character, like she just
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very, there's misogynistic.
Sure. I
There's
felt
some-
that during the scene where she was abducted
Mhm.
and she forgot about the death note and she was like, "This is your fetish thing, right? We can do that." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, girl, you're
Yeah.
better than that."
And
And
I
the-
mean, I
like
was
the love scene and the like begging for
Light.
love and this kind of thing. I just was like, the power play here. I just was not okay with it.
And
Sure,
I think
sure.
to me that's the sell point of like why you're not supposed to like. You can like Light as a character, but if you're like, I'm going to be Light, it's like
You missed the
took
point.
wrong lesson.
He needs to be added to that, like the Joker and all that kind of
and
stuff.
to that point,
If you idolize these people, you miss the point.
something interesting for a lot of people, like after the anime came out, a lot of kids in schools like tried to write people's names in books that we call death notes, and like a lot of countries they actually try to ban the show.
What I will say is that
I understand that.
from a fundamental level, I liked her character, like her backstory and how she got into this was like really heartbreaking, and then like the extension
And her
story of
Shinigami
Rem and the
Jealous,
which
is
it was just like
Gelus. I looked up.
so that rubbed me real hard the
Sure.
wrong way. It was very hard to see past that, and it was hard to like Light.
Mhm.
Well,
to follow
hardly. Like, it was hard
Because
to,
it's not like following Dexter. Because
No.
Dexter is actually a good person,
yeah.
or at least he even tries to be. Light's just like, I'm going to become God.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tried to compare it when I was talking to Dana about like I was like, it's kind of a Thanos situation, but like worse.
Way worse.
And she's like, okay,
Like the thing about Light, and I feel bad, he's a fucking kid.
yeah,
Thanos, a couple hundred years old.
What
Yeah.
maybe they said it, and I apologize if I missed it. But what is kind of the age range that we're
The show?
they're graduating high school.
Yeah.
okay?
When we see Light, he's a senior
Okay.
because he talks about going to university
Yeah,
and stuff
got
like
in the
that.
entrance exams.
Mhm.
But
He's like 18,
yeah.
17, 18.
and she's been a model and all that stuff. But I think when it came out, they think that consent thing was actually not in place yet. Where like in Japanese culture, and I apologize if I'm misquoting it, but like the age of consent was lower than America's, or child pictures were not illegal yet.
Yeah.
Because that's what certain creators got really in trouble for recently, because they
Mhm.
still had that stuff from a time where it's like
It
now
was
it's illegal.
accepted. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, there's a lot of different, to Josh's point, culture clashes. But I will say for me, my qualm is the same thing as Corey's, is that at the very end, second arc is not as engaging, mainly because there's not a lot of emotional tie between L and Light.
Mhm.
It
as
seems
it
very
is with
interesting
Nier.
too that the
Yeah.
L arc was 2/3 of the
Mhm.
what of the season.
Well, because
and-
you're just like
manga-
like, oh, Light won.
Yeah.
He won. Who like, and then so whoever's
And you
gonna beat
just
him.
like those little moments, like they really get you with that moment where it's the same part where she's still captured, but he comes in and he's like, "I'm not Kira," or "If I was Kira, I would do this, this, this." And his dad's like, "I don't like hearing you say that." And he's like, "Sorry, the only way I can say it is because I know I'm not." And Elle's like, "I'm glad you're not. It'd be a problem if you were." And he's like, "Why?" Because you're my friend. And I was like, "Oh."
But then also like one on the episode that that like L dies, and then he's like, "Do you hear it? The bell's been ringing louder every day." And all
Yeah.
that stuff. I'm like, "Oh wow, it's really."
There's a lot of give and take between L. That a lot of
Sure.
like there's a lot of tension building and then release, and then a lot of
And
like
chemistry.
oh they're playing,
And you can tell, like,
they're
they
dancing.
both noticed it at certain points. Like, had this been another life, they would have been friends.
yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, with Nier, it's just to me like it's the logical end,
Sure.
but like it just kind of takes away a little bit of the fun of like, oh, who's gonna win? Here it's just like, okay, Light pretty much won, killed everyone. He's beyond all redemption.
yeah.
Um,
The way I described it to Dana, we were talking about it, and I was like, I would say, of course, I brought it to Peaky Blinders. I was like, the first 2 seasons of Peaky Blinders, where you have Cillian Murphy's character and Dr. Alan Grant's character,
Mhm.
like it's such a like they're so intertwined. You know what I mean? Sam Neill's character.
Sam
There's so much
Where do you
history
get Scarecrow's character
and Dr. Alan Grant, and but there's so much that like when you get to the Adrian Brody season, you're like, it's good,
yeah, it's very good.
but the emotional weight is taken out.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing.
It's very good.
the whole escalation with the fact that there's a Kira mob.
Yeah.
And that there's a law now created around Kira, and
I did
America
like
stops
seeing-
intervening.
Seeing where it had gone,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
Yeah,
that's
that was it?
That's my only qualm.
All right. So ratings then. Is this where we get into our
Ratings.
ratings?
Yeah,
So
who's
Tom,
going okay, am I going first?
you have no votes. So
have
you
no
would be
votes.
going first. Yeah, then me, then Josh.
So mine is a 4.9. 4.9.
4.9.
Just for that, I mean, like, to me, I wouldn't change the show really that much. And you could see what happens when America does try to change the show.
Yeah.
Snoresville.
Yeah.
I just feel bad. And
Are you talking about
the Netflix one. And we could talk about it. I think on paper, man, that script must
we
have
should
been,
cover it
that must have been a
after
good.
now that we watched it.
But yeah, I just feel like just the end, it was enough for me to be like, it's not. I was like, everyone go watch it. But I'm like, but it's not going to be like Cowboy Bebop where like the quality never changed.
Right.
And not thinking the art animation or the budget changed or anything like that, but I was just like, the story, you just kind of like, I've watched it several times. I always forget. I'm like, how the fuck did Nier beat him?
Yeah.
Like, I know how Light beats L.
Right.
But I forget all the time how Nier beats Light.
Right. It's not as impactful.
Yeah.
I would be next.
And it's kind of like showing the fizzle out of Light, where it's just like, it kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's anticlimactic until the death.
Because he's pathetic.
Yeah.
And
I want to do something because you've been right about everything about me so far in this show. Josh, I want you to bear witness. What do you think my score is, Tom?
4.9.
Oh, 4.8. 4.8. He was close.
Super
He
close.
was so close. 4.8. There it
Well,
is.
You had a different number on a different page. And I was like,
Yeah, no. Oh, because I write them on the back of all of them.
oh, yeah. Well, that brings it to me.
Yeah, Josh. Oh.
I am the grump.
Oh. Where's your number? What'd you write?
I'm committing
Yeah,
because
committing.
we said we were going to write down our numbers.
Yeah, I will say 4.8 if I had been any. I thought about going lower, but our conversation would have changed.
So it sounds
You're
like
committing.
you had almost two numbers in your head a little bit.
I did because here's the thing. It's a really good show.
Yeah.
So give us the first number and then give us
The number that I wrote down was 4.
Mhm.
Okay.
A good solid 4.
Mhm.
So that would be what the Nerd On Nation voted on and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
so,
But did it change from
no,
the conversation?
With the conversation, it goes up to a 4.5.
Oh, wow.
But
I'm going to write down a 4 for the metric.
yeah.
Yes.
The Misa Misa thing is just, it's a big thing for me.
Sure.
It's just the treatment of women in media is huge for me.
It's changed a lot.
And so yeah, it's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Media has changed a lot since then. Society has changed a lot even in those 20 years.
It's
I've always been a very
Sensitive person.
towards that kind
Sure.
of thing.
It doesn't, just because it used to be a certain way doesn't make it, it's the reason they have those disclaimers in front of the old cartoons. It doesn't make it easier to watch, even though like at that time, sure, that's what everyone watched and that's how it
Yeah.
was written. Doesn't make it easier now.
And it was just because, I mean, also Misa Misa is kind of a big character
Yeah.
of the show. And so it was just, it really affected my experience.
I like,
Sure.
and this will date the episode. I like what Seth Rogen kind of said recently, and a lot of people have actually given him a lot of flack, where he's like, some things aren't funny anymore, and that's okay. Like, just
That's-
wite better jokes. Just write
That's
new
fine.
jokes.
Yeah.
And it's like, if, like that doesn't reflect how you like things, then that's okay.
We have some shout outs.
Mm.
Because you are the grump. We got, let's see here, 5. Here we go.
it.
Kristen F. Got it right. Shout out to you for guessing that. Grumper Gator guesser, Death Note, Jealous, God of the New World guesser, Grumper. Brock P. Justin, Matt R, and General G.
General
Shout
G.
out.
Dope.
Oh, jeez.
Shouting out.
Nice.
Also
Good job guessing that, Grump. If you want to get shouted out, join the Nerd On Nation. Start taking part in our polls.
You also got to shout out Sharkbait on our Discord community
Oh,
for
yeah.
writing down every number and metric thing.
Oh
And
my
we
God.
we need to
pretty
share
amazing.
that on social
That's
media.
amazing.
If
to me.
we're allowed to.
Did we? No. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
If we're allowed to.
They went through and they created a spreadsheet of us, basically.
That's what Tom has been doing, but
yeah.
How many times I'm not wearing hockey pads, what the
Yeah.
lowest score ever was,
Average number.
the average number for each host, including Ollie. It was
It's
everything.
amazing.
It was pretty
There's
incredible.
different SKUs of numbers because Bonnie gave us 6.
Yeah.
Like Sharkbait, if you're listening, when you're listening, if you want to share it to the general or if you want to share it to anywhere else, like let us know, because that is a work of art and you deserve
we'll
to have
blast
full
it
rights
out
to
there.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope, and you should join the Nerd On
you
Nation
can
so you can see it in the Discord.
Message me on the Discord, tag me, and we'll work out how to get them on the socials and get you credit on that. So
Yes.
It's pretty amazing.
That's it.
that's it. We did it.
That
Death Note.
is the episode on Note of Death.
Question for the audience: what would you do if you got the Death Note? Who do you think was
I
right in
would
the world?
make a
Not you.
fake bottom drawer that was
Oh
ready
my
to
God!
explode at any moment if it was opened
and
incorrectly.
then have a stick of lead to make sure my door never opened.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
I love it.
good.
Yeah, tell us what you think. If you've seen Death Note, reach out to us. Let us know your thoughts. There is a anime server on the Discord. Let's continue the conversation over there. Let's hang out. Let's talk.
An anime server?
Yeah.
An anime server. And oh man, that's hard. But
Embody.
Embody audio. Thank you so much for listening or watching if you are on the YouTubes. Yeah, speaking of which, if you are new to Nerd On, check out our website, nerdon.tv. It has all of the information on everything we do, including the links to our YouTube, where we are. The show is on all of the podcast apps, podcatchers.
Wherever podcasts are heard.
Wherever podcasts are heard. Wherever you want to listen to it, we're there.
Also, we were supposed to get a shout out.
We were?
We both voted for Josh.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't give us shout outs. We're on the show.
I'm just saying.
Way to go. Shout out to Tom.
I guessed
Tom,
it
you
right.
did it right.
I'm the jealous.
I'm the jealous guy.
I'm the one that cries.
Sad.
It was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said at the top, do consider joining the Nerd On Nation. Lots of fun perks over there. Do help us to grow, upgrade our content.
Every little bit helps.
The rating.
Everything that we do, it helps to have you guys on board. And we have a lot that we have planned that we want to do for you guys.
Lots of things.
Lots of things.
And I won't write your name in the death.
No. Wow.
If you do.
That's intense.
So far, less than 60 people are saved.
Yeah.
Stop by, rate and review, share it with
You know what
your
it's
friends
like
and family.
when we get one of those ratings?
Oh boy.
I'm gonna do this for Kaylin because she's not here.
Dealing with family.
Look, it's like a nice winter morning when there's a fresh snow, and you step outside, and I'm out there. I'm just taking it in, and then I get tackled even though I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Oh, wow.
That's what it's like to get a rating from all of you guys.
I need to know when the last time that happened. I need to know
Let's
that.
check the sheet.
Let's check the sheet.
I think it's also kind of like when you write a name down in your bag of potato chips and you take a bite of your potato chip.
Yeah.
Also, he just throws away like a $400
whole
camera.
team.
Yeah. That's how he's
Hey,
a sociopath,
The
my
cost
dude.
of justice.
Yeah.
The cost of justice. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, for watching. We love you. Take
Tom
care
Cam.
of yourselves.
Tom Cam.
Tom Cam.
Yeah.
And back, you know the drill. As always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.
wake up, people! Wake up! Wake up!
No.
That's how it goes.
Podcast!
Jesus.